People were worried that Half-Life Alyx was going to use the teleport movement style instead of letting them get immersed in the worlds by walking about normally, but the game now supports both options. In fact, there's even more than that, which I'll be showing in this video. In a recently launched gameplay video over on IGN's channel, they revealed Half-Life Alyx's options menu, giving us a good look at some of the different ways we'll be able to play this game. It turns out there are 4 different movement styles, but it's more like 2 different types, each with 2 variants that you can choose from. Teleport is shown in the first gameplay video, where you hold down a button and this thing appears. When you let go, you'll teleport to wherever your yellow feet things are. This is done almost instantly. For a split second there's a black screen, almost like you're blinking, which might give the game time to load a new area, or maybe it's just used to reduce sickness or something. Shift is kind of similar to teleport, only it's slower because instead of teleporting, you quickly fly through the air to your destination, which might make it less jarring than teleport, but also a bit more sickening. And the last movement type is continuous, which is the most like existing games where you move by holding the stick and you'll move relative to your current direction. Kind of like Boneworks. I suspect this is the one that everybody will want to play the game in, but is the one that Valve tried to avoid for a while because it'll probably lead to the most nausea. To play in this mode, you'll either have to have built up some tolerance to VR-induced sickness, or you'll have to play the game in shorter sessions. At least the game will last longer. This continuous style is also split up into 2 different modes. You'll be able to choose to move in the direction your head's facing, or in the direction that your hands are facing. Thus, in total, making 4 different movement styles. This really is the early days of VR. It's like going back to the 90s when they didn't know how to control first-person shooter games, and they did stuff like using the mouse to strafe, or arrow keys to turn your view. I'm sure people will quickly settle on a favourite way of playing VR. Now, I've been wondering for a while how falling is going to be implemented. At one point, the player teleports down into a train carriage, skipping the falling completely. The way they've approached developing this game makes me think that Valve does not want VR to make people sick, so I think it's going to be made pretty difficult to accidentally fall off ledges. Like when using dash or teleport, maybe it will only let you move if you choose a valid spot to teleport to. They've already said that your body is modelled to prevent you from doing impossible things, like squeezing between wooden posts or other small gaps that you physically wouldn't be able to fit through. So maybe this will also be used to figure out if a drop is too large, and will stop you from initiating the movement that would lead you there. When using the dash option, one of the videos shows Alyx softly floating down to ground level after dropping off an object. Now, it could have just been that the player crouched down at this very moment to get into cover, or maybe it's the game going easy on the player by dropping them down gently to make it less of a jolt. I've already heard that the game will let you quite freely explore the environments, jumping on tables and stuff like that, so it's not like you'll be stuck in a small box, unable to explore your surroundings. But when it comes to the continuous movement option, who knows how far this freedom will extend to. People who choose this option will already have accepted the increased nausea that can come with it, so maybe Valve will just be like, fine, we'll let players in this mode freely run off ledges if they want to. The second gameplay video in particular shows some very appealing looking drops that I just can't wait to launch myself off. It even starts with a temptingly placed plank that players might try to step on to get closer to reaching this body, and the grenade and health pack that he's got shoved down his trousers. I'd be extremely disappointed if this plank didn't give way under Alyx's enormous weight, sending her plummeting to her death. You know what I'll be doing the moment I reach this point in the game. And the last interesting option to cover is the ladders. On the options menu, it looks like a toggle between hand climbing and teleporting up them. In an early video, it showed a player moving up to one and teleporting instantly to the top. People didn't like this, so you can be absolutely sure it was deliberate to feature the hand climbing method in these videos, which we can see not once, but twice. You can see here that the alternative to teleporting is to grab the rungs with your hands to pull yourself up. You can even hold on with one hand while shooting with the other. Disabling this will likely switch it back to the teleport option again, which will be the least nauseating option, as well as probably the fastest. I would say this would be better for speedrunners, but they'll probably use some crazy way of flinging themselves up into the air and over the tops of the levels in some ridiculous, sickening way. Has anyone noticed how smooth these gameplay videos look? Now you might be different, but it turns out that my head shakes and wobbles about like crazy because every bit of VR gameplay I record is a total mess. I can't imagine for a moment that the in-game view will be smoothed. It'll try to track your head movements as accurately as possible to minimise nausea. So I reckon there's been some video stabilisation at work, somewhere between this gameplay being recorded and it being uploaded to YouTube. Watch this space.